Hello and welcome. My name is Nelisa and we are bringing this to you live from the AfricaCom event 2018 from Cape Town, South Africa. And right next to me, I have Tim Ayling from Kaspersky. Could you kindly introduce yourself, tell me what you do, and a bit of a background about your company?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm the global head of the fraud prevention division at Kaspersky. So Kaspersky are a very, very large IT security company doing all sorts of security technology. And myself am focused on anti-fraud solutions for all sorts of verticals. So in South Africa at the moment, there are obviously quite a few issues around fraud. I think the amount of fraud on the mobile device has doubled in the last year. Over almost 25% of businesses in a Kaspersky report recently said that they had hacking attempts on their online and their digital platforms. And so we're seeing South Africa as an area that we need to be spreading our message, and that's what brings us here today.
Just to quickly take it back to home, with the rise of social media and obviously the use of the internet, what opportunities have you seen in the South African market, and what challenges do you foresee the company facing?
Sure. With social media, I mean, as I say, there's obviously benefits, and I think I read a statistic recently that 93% of decisions or purchasing decisions are made via social media. So it obviously has a huge opportunity for people, and that opened a lot of opportunity for African businesses. But unfortunately, on the other side, when there's a lot of information that's now public, it also opens up easy ways to access information for fraudsters too, and there are huge challenges that I think Africa is grappling with. Certainly with fraud, it's probably slightly behind other regions, like the US and the EU, which are tackling these issues through regulation. We haven't quite seen that with Africa yet. But yeah, we will get there, and that's why companies like ourselves are coming down to talk.
And in terms of collaborations, I'm sure you've walked around, you've seen competition. Which company would you say is your direct competitor, and which company would you like to work with in the future?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, it's funny. One of the things that we have noticed is that really none of our competitors are here. It's interesting watching people walk past and then kind of look at our side and say, "Oh, fraud. I hadn't thought of that before." So we've had a lot of people say that there's not many fraud companies here, if any at all. In terms of who we want to work with, the way we work, we are very partner and channel focused. So any partner that has customers that have fraud issues, that are looking for new solutions, want to be innovative how they go about it, whether that's just a reseller or whether that's a huge telco provider, we are open to working with any of those guys that makes us have a safer world.
And in terms of the services that you guys are providing, is it only consumer based, or you guys are providing services to bigger companies as well? Can you just quickly talk us through that?
That's a great question. So we do have solutions that are consumer based. Absolutely, Kaspersky are very well known for that. The solutions that we're talking to here around fraud prevention are really aimed at businesses who want to protect their consumers. So we're doing analytics, we're looking at providing risk decisions on individual sessions and transactions. So it's really for the businesses to be proactive in helping their consumers be safe online. And most organizations out there that have a digital presence are looking at these kind of tools. So yeah, we're happy to help, and we like to think we go about things slightly different to our competitors, which enables us to be across different verticals, not just finance and retail. We can certainly help loyalty cards, telco, government, healthcare, you name it. It's just the way that we're architected enables us to do that.
Okay, so I believe you guys are operating in over 200 countries. How has that been in terms of challenges and security measures? That is from both government and from a personal user.
Yeah, so the biggest challenges tends to be cultural. There are certain countries that are very, very focused on security and happy to have restrictive measures in place. And I think of countries like Germany and the Nordic countries, very used to kind of extra measures for their own security. And then there's countries like the UK and North America, and even things like Italy and South Africa to an extent, where I hate to say we're a little bit more lazy, but we don't like having anything that kind of gets in the way of buying things online and making. We want to make transactions as easy as possible. The cultural issues across the globe certainly drive how we approach our customers. Africa in itself is very unique. There's a huge mobile losses, but people like using their mobiles more than they like using the web. While in the UK where I live, the web still dominates, even though mobile is popular. Web is still so there are different measures for different ways of interacting online and digitally.
Last question. You are providing risk services, right? And as a person that is always on the internet, and as much as I want to know my security is taken care of, how much of my data do you have access to?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And actually, every time I talk to a customer, they ask me, how much data do you need? Yeah. And so the truth is, we have a lot of threat intelligence information, but it is all anonymized. So we don't know. We get a number, and that's a user ID. We have no idea who sits behind that number. And largely because of GDPR, the regulation in the EU, which is now really rolled out across the globe, we're not able to keep personal information about anybody. So everything's anonymized. But in the talk I did earlier, the power of information is still hugely important. You look at the successful companies in the world, and they all have lots of information and they know how to use it. And in that sense, Kaspersky are no different, but it's anonymized data, and we don't track individual users.